So have you got your tomatoes started yet? It is the 25th of March at the time that I'm recording this video. I have one started strictly because I want to show you some of the techniques that I use for starting tomatoes that have been great methods for the past couple years. I always end up with nice, strong seedlings ready to go out in the garden, not until about the 20th of May. So if this is your first time joining me on my channel, my name is Tracy. I am a year-round gardener living on the Saskatchewan Prairies, growing zone 3B. On my channel, I like to show people how you can grow food and garden 12 months of the year, no matter where you live, no matter what the temperature is outside. So today when I'm filming this, we are having another spring blizzard, which is typical for the prairies. We call it sprinter. We call it false spring. Last week we had melting temperatures. It looked like the snow was going to melt and the grass was starting to poke through everywhere. And today we woke up to another blanket of snow, and it's been snowing on and off all day long. But that's okay, because we can do a lot of things indoors getting ready for the outdoor season. And one thing that I love to do most is growing tomatoes. And I love growing my tomatoes from seed. And I love to grow tons of varieties. So last year, I was just looking back in my calendar. I thought I started tomatoes, too early, but I was looking at my calendar. I highly recommend using a simple calendar to track when you plant your stuff. It's very easy to keep on hand. And I just get a new calendar every year that I use to keep track of everything, when I planted it out, when I fertilize it. Hang this up in your garden shed once you move outdoors so that you can track fertilizing, problems, pests, everything that you need to know all the way to harvest is all on a calendar. I find that keeping a journal, a book, I lose the book. Writing on paper, I lose the paper. Trying to do it on a computer, I never go back to it. I start out with a nice chart of some kind or spreadsheet, but for me, a simple calendar is the way to go. So if you haven't been able to find a calendar now that we're into March, it's hard to find, free calendars at stores. If you don't want to go purchase a calendar, I have created a very simple download that you can get. If you click on the link below, it's part of my free gardening guide downloads. I've included just some black and white blank calendars with some room for some notes at the bottom. You can print off as many months as you need. Just write in the month and the days, and just keep that handy. Put it in your binder if you keep it in a binder. Put them up, like I say, in the wall in your garden shed or garage so that you can keep track all throughout the summer. So again, you can just click on the link below for those free downloads to get that calendar. Okay, so let's talk about my favorite way to start tomatoes. So last year was my first year to do the seedling snail method. And if you've been following me on my channel this spring, I've been doing everything on seedling snails. I got a bunch back here. I've got petunias, celery. I'm even using the snail method to propagate my cuttings from the coleuses. I got a bunch more coleuses that I overwintered, and some potato vine. And I will be rerooting tons of these in a snail. Super compact. I got 6 or so in here so that I can use them in my flower pots. So what I've done here is I've just prepared multiple snails because I have various varieties of tomatoes that I want to grow. The other thing that I'm going to be doing is the old reliable solo cup method that I've been using for years. And I started one here so that I could show you what I do. It's very simple. I just use solo cups. You can reuse, 3 or 4 inch pots as well. But what I like about the solo cups is they're very deep, similar to the seedling snail. So you get, about 5 inches of root space. So my method that I always follow for tomatoes, if I'm going to start them directly in a solo cup, is to just fill them halfway with the seed starting mix. Throw in a couple seeds. Tomatoes seem to really germinate very easily. These popped up within 3 days, and I got 2 of them going. This is a Roma determinant, And what I usually do is I'll thin them out. So I'll remove one or just cut it out, let the tomato grow till it gets above the rim of the cup. And then I just pinch off any leaves that are still on the stem below the rim and top it off with some potting soil, something that's got a little bit of, nutrients in it. And that way you're building a really big solid cup of roots, I find, and it works really well. And I can keep my tomato in this solo cup right up until it's time to start hardening it off outside and then planting it in my garden. Now, the one downfall of the solo cup that I found with, any kind of seed starting is they take up a lot of space. So I just wanted to also show this, what I love to start my tomatoes in, and this is a dollar store purchase here. This is a clear tub that comes with a clear lid. It's about, I think it's about 6 inches high. And this is great for seed starting and for keeping your plants in right up until the time you need to move them outside. You can set them inside here. You can set them under the lights on the shelf very easily. I can get 2 of these plastic tubs under lights here on the shelf. You can put the lid on when they are first germinating just to kind of keep that moisture in. And you can bottom water right into this. So it's a really, you set it up and you are good to go right up until the time you're planting outside. So as I said, the solo cups take up a lot of space. So I think I tried to fill this up with solo cups first, and I think I could only get 9 of them in here. So again, that's only 9 tomato plants. For me, I think I have about 10 varieties of tomatoes that I want to grow this year. So with the seedling snail method, I can easily I've built 7 here. I could probably get another 7 or 8 in here. I don't make them super big, simply because I do not need tons of one variety of tomato. And I like to just put one variety in a snail. But I just thought making a smaller snail here that I will maybe put 5 tomatoes in, maybe 6 of one variety will work good. I can then get, 10 or 12 or more different varieties going just in this one container. So maybe you don't want to plant that many tomatoes. I, of course, overplant my tomatoes, but I like to share them with my kids, my family. My dad likes to grow tomatoes on his patio. My sister-in-law. I have friends that I love to, give my tomatoes to right around Mother's Day. That's their Mother's Day gift. And so that's why I'm going to be starting a lot of them. And if you're one of those people who normally starts your tomatoes in the small little cells and then pots them, using the seedling snail is kind of a way of doing that you can start, a whole bunch in one snail. And when it comes time to up pot it, which you won't have to do for a very long time because they have a lot of root space and they will live in this right up until it's time almost to put them out in the garden. But if you want to up pot them into containers for whatever reason, then you can just unravel this, pull the tomatoes out, and up pot them into a solo cup or a larger container, whatever your plan is. So that's why I think the seedling snail acts kind of like a seedling tray as well. And that's probably what I'm going to do because I want to be able to give these tomatoes away to friends and family. I am going to start them all in my seedling snail. Once they get to, maybe about 4 weeks old, they're quite well established. I will up pot them into one of these, and then I can easily give them out to friends and family. So let's talk about timing, because I know just people get really anxious to start tomatoes. I have a community on the school platform, Gardeners Growing Together. You can check it out if you're not part of that community. But a lot of people, myself included, kind of have to refrain from starting things too soon indoors. And being in Zone 3, Saskatchewan, Canada, we have very cold springs. Like I said, it's blizzarding out right now. You cannot take these tomatoes out until the temperatures are above, 10 degrees Celsius at night. Otherwise, you're going to be covering them and trying to protect them. And so you're going to have to keep these happy and fed and watered and fertilized indoors for, right now we are 8 weeks away from the 20th of May, which is usually the May long weekend is usually when I'm planting out my garden and my tomatoes. The tomatoes, they are fast growing, and a lot of the packaging seeds, will say to start them 6 to 8 weeks. Things that are indeterminate, usually they have a longer starting period that they suggest. I noticed on some of these, like a bush variety, they will say 4 to 6 weeks or 5 to 6 weeks. Most of them say that 6 to 8. And a lot of people just jump on that 8-week one and start them then. But last year I waited until, I believe my calendar said the 6th of April, which was 6 weeks before my last frost. And I had beautiful tomatoes that were, really big, especially the indeterminate ones. They get really tall and you're having to figure out how to support them, and you're trying to keep them, from topping over, and they get really tippy in the cups and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to stick to that 6 weeks. I might even push it till middle of April. So if you happen to be watching this mid-April, end of April, you are in a cool climate like I am, you can still start your tomatoes. A lot of people don't even plant them out until the 1st of June in cold climates. So there's lots of time. Just be patient, and you will, guaranteed to have strong, healthy tomatoes by the end of May. So I'm not going to be doing any planting today, but I just wanted to show you this setup. Like I said, these, if you can pick up some of these at the Dollarama, they work really good. I have a couple of them. And again, I can keep everything contained in here. I don't have to worry about stuff tipping over. When it comes time to hardening off, I will take these outside and just keep them right in here. Again, I can just dump water, and as long as we have holes cut in the bottom of our cups, the snails, they will absorb, the water and wick it up from the bottom. That'll work really good. So as far as starting these, I am going to, like I said, I'm not going to be overseeding by too much. I'm probably going to put 5 or 6 seeds of one variety. Usually the success rate on tomato seeds is pretty high, so there's no point in overseeding unless you want to, prick them out, or if you want to, double up your snail after you've got 10 or 12 in one, you can split it into 2 snails. But I will be just putting, like I said, 5 or 6. I cover it with a light layer of just the seed starting mix because it is nice and light. So once you got everything planted into your snails, make sure you've written the name on there. I always, of course, put the date, and I also make sure that I mark whether it's an indeterminate or determinate variety. So that's really important when it comes time to planting, because the determinate or the bush varieties can go in containers. They don't need a lot of trellising. So if you just want to grow on a patio, maybe you got some containers, determinate bush varieties are really good. This is one here that I'm trying that's new, a red robin. I'm going to be growing some of these for my dad because he has a really nice sunny balcony on his condo. So I said, these would be really good. Or if you want some kind of a slicing, bigger sized tomato that you can grow in containers, the early girl variety is really popular on the prairies, as well as the Manitoba. So Manitoba is a larger slicing type tomato, but it's indeterminate. And Sweet Gold, I love gold cherry tomatoes. Those are both indeterminate varieties. So when you are planning to plant them out in your garden, make sure you have some kind of fencing or trellis that they can grow up, cattle panel, stuff like that, that you can set up in your garden bed, or if you're going to be in a container, something very high. Okay, so once you got everything marked, you got your seeds planted, I give it a good spritz with one of these. I highly recommend these if you have a lot of indoor starts. If you're trying to use a pump spray, that can get a little hard. And these things, I got this at Early's Farm and Garden, which is a local farm and garden supply store in Saskatchewan. About, I don't know, 20 bucks. You can fill it up, pump it, and it works really good. You can just spray everything really easily. Hopefully you can see that. So highly recommend one of those. Then you can just cover it with your plastic lid. That'll hold in some of that humidity, and just set it somewhere out of the light where it's warm. If you are using heating mats, you can just set it on a heating mat. I actually have a really nice spot in my furnace room, which is really warm around the furnace. You can set these on top of a register if you have forced air heat still running. The top of a fridge is warm, just as long as they're nice and cozy. And then just make sure you're checking it daily to make sure that the tops aren't drying out. Give it a spritz. And as soon as you see that germination happening, like I said, these Romas were up within 2 days, I think, or 3 days. That warm heat of my furnace room, I'm sure, really sped up the germination. And now I have it just sitting under grow lights here with the rest of my stuff. I have these turned off right now just because I noticed in my filming and people commented in my other videos that it kind of creates a bad light behind me. So I've got these lights shut off right now. So once I'm moving the tomatoes, anything under grow lights, these are just basic LED shop lights. They're not, official grow lights. Purchase these at Rona, and I have them on a timer for 16 hours on, 8 hours off. So they'll probably stay indoors here now till the middle of April. And I have some very sunny windows in my garage. My garage is heated, so I can move these into a window and they will get enough light once they are, getting 2 or 3 inches high. I haven't found that they get too leggy, but it is important when they are first germinating to have a grow light system for them. If you're using a sunny window, you're taking a chance on getting leggy, long tomatoes that are going to be reaching for light. If you have cloudy, gloomy days, that's, usually when they really start stretching, and, they're a little more harder to maintain and keep alive when that happens. So if you can use grow lights, I highly recommend that, at least, until you get that, about 4 weeks in. I think that's one of the biggest hurdles that we have when we are growing indoors, is we start things too soon. And I've been talking a lot this year on my channel about waiting. Don't rush it. It's better to plant later than too soon, unless you have, a lot of space to look after and baby these seedlings, and having to up pot them into bigger pots because they're getting root bound. The seedling snail method has pretty much eliminated that problem for me, but I still don't want to be having huge plants that I'm having to deal with. I started petunias, pansies, impatiens flowers in February, which is what they usually tell you to do. And I found that I planted them way too soon. I've had to unravel my snails of petunias and split them into two, just mainly just to thin them out. But they also are getting really big. They're flowering. So next year, I'm going to be marking on my calendar, don't start those things until March. Some of the tender annuals like marigolds, zinnias, cosmos, calendula, chamomile, all those things that I like to grow in my garden. For companion plants around my vegetables, I am waiting. I want to do a lot of them in the winter sowing method, which I would have normally done by now. But again, I am waiting till the temperatures are warmer, till we stop getting these uh, snowfalls and freezing temperatures that are falling into the double digits below zero at night, which is very cold for those tender annuals. So waiting till about early April, mid-April, still lots of time, still have that 4 to 6 week period where I'm going to be doing a lot of those in the jugs, planting them outside, saving myself a lot of space inside. So I hope you found this helpful. My tomato planting system that I love, solo cup, snails, both of them work really well, and I think they're going to both work really well together, starting everything in my snails and up potting to solo cups whenever I need to. So lots of things happening, lots of things getting started every week. So I hope that you will take advantage of those free downloads. Click on the link in the description box below to grab those. So if you want to be part of an amazing community on the school platform, Gardeners Growing Together, We have so many people joining on there this spring, and everybody has so much information. We are swapping stories and sharing experiences and asking questions and learning so much. So I highly recommend, if you like to be part of a community that loves to talk about gardening, to check out Gardeners Growing Together. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.